Bitcoin makes a move to the upside, the miners are starting to sell, and Berkshire Hathaway stock slumps 99%. What on earth is going on in this trading world? Well, one could say it's just another day at the office. Well, regardless of that, tonight's video, we're going to be diving into these key topics that have been hitting the marketplace, to say the least. We're going to dive into Bitcoin's sweep to the upside, 70,000. Everyone starts buying, but the miners are selling. Remember, we want to focus on when Bitcoin drops. That's not because I'm a bear. It's got nothing to do with that. It's because when they buy when it drops. And that's what we need to be focusing on. Moving on from there, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk you through some trading I did today on the S&P and, of course, the NASDAQ. And we called out some very interesting zones today for the Platinum members. So if you're not part of that gang, I'll be showing you why you need to take advantage of that. So with that being said, welcome to Traders Reality. My name is Tino. Let's have a conversation. That's not a knife. It's an ETF. Yes, my poor effort at doing the Australian accent. Yeah, that was it. Just please let me know what you think. Anyways, they are now giving access to Australian investors to start buying this Bitcoin ETF. Monochrome, to be precise. As we go into it, it says Monochrome was proud to host 120 guests in Sydney last week as we celebrate the up-and-coming launch of the Monochrome Bitcoin ETF. Now, this is great news for us because Australia is mad for the regulations. So as long as there's regulation behind this ETF, then that means investors in Australia are going to get access to buying Bitcoin, and specifically this ETF allows them to directly hold the Bitcoin. That's good news. In other news, we got to look at what the miners keep on doing. So from the 21st of May, you can see that miners have been getting busy selling the Bitcoin. Now, if we look at Bitcoin's price action today, you can see it's made the move to the 70,000 to only come back down again. And we've been seeing this behavior: sweep up, come down, sweep up, come down. And they keep on holding Bitcoin's price in and around this zone. Now, what we really need to be seeing is we want to see as many concentrated bid orders, and the bids are where they are buying. To put it into perspective, you can see here, 4.84 million was purchased at the 66,900 zone. Then we go over to this. We see that 35.99 million was sold. So that's why I'm saying we always want to be focusing on Bitcoin's price coming down, because then we can understand if the concentration of Bitcoin's pressure to mark lower is consistent with guys aggressively wanting to buy the Bitcoin. So if you just take this move to the downside right here, you can see, look at that. 10.73 million was picked up at the 66,700 zone. Go up a little bit more, 2.81, 583,000, 11 million when the original order was 2.78. When you start to see these high concentration of bids appearing as Bitcoin's dropping, it means that retail traders are on the wrong side of the trade. Now, with that being said, let's just go and have a look at what happened today with Bitcoin. So, earlier on today, I was sharing these projections to the Platinum members. And if you're not a Platinum member, you can take advantage of a 20% discount on your first month. And what I do is I share trade setups across 6 asset classes: Euro, gold, oil. And you can see Euro today, she cleaned out the move to the upside. Quickly have a look at that. You can see Euro did fantastically well to mark up even a nice gap up, and that was only on the back of the news that came out today regarding the ISM manufacturing data. This is important. You can see the PMI came in at 2:45 today, which was 9:45 Eastern Standard, that it was a reading of 51.3 on the actual PMI. Now, why is this important? Because it says that the US economy is expanding. A reading above 50 is positive, okay? A reading below 50 is contraction, so that's negative. We go into the ISM manufacturing PMI again, you've got a reading of 48.7, and then you've got the manufacturing prices at 57.0. Any reading above 50 is good, but when you've got a reading like this at 48.7, investors are starting to look at it and think, okay, so if the economy is suffering or is it not? Both readings out of 3 were negative as opposed to the positive one. And remember, what we've got to pay attention to is how much of an impact is high interest rates having on the US economy. If the Fed can see that the economy is suffering because of these high interest rates, that is naturally when they're going to start stepping in and cutting the interest rates. That would then be consistent with the miners that are selling the Bitcoin every time Bitcoin makes a move up. Because if the economy or the bigger picture is not looking too good because interest rates are high, then that means the cost of doing business is naturally going to be putting pressure on these businesses, and that value that's already locked into the stock market is then going to come off. Now, if we just go over to the S&P and the NASDAQ, you can see what happened today. Oh, my days. And that's going to be consistent with the story that rolled out today. Check this out. Look at this. New York Stock Exchange says technical issue fixed after Berkshire Hathaway incorrectly shown to fall 99%. Do you understand how much this stock is, ladies and gentlemen? Look at this. You just saw it right there. It's even glitched out. Here we go. $625,580, man. This is unbelievable. And this is Warren Buffett's stock for Berkshire Hathaway. Look at that. A nice correction all the way down to $200. Could you imagine if anyone had any bid orders? But the reason this has happened, ladies and gentlemen, is because of this. Check this out. There's a new settlement cycle, okay? And under the new T1 settlement cycle, it says all applicable security transactions from the US financial institutions will settle in one business day of their transaction date. For example, if you sell shares of ABC stock on Monday, the transaction will settle on Tuesday. Now, some of you might have some apps, like, for example, Revolut, where you can buy and sell stocks. Now, when you buy a stock, happy days, you want to sell it for a profit, you've got to wait roughly around 2 to 3 days. Well, now that this new settlement time has come into play, it means that settlements can happen sooner. That means money is not locked up behind the scenes just to get settled. So that is now forcing investors to effectively make sure that they have got money to cover themselves when it comes to settlements. All right? That means owning dollars. Now, this is what has, in my opinion, caused this glitch on the Berkshire Hathaway, because the SEC has been saying that this new settlement process is not good and it could actually make investors on edge, which could be consistent with why the S&P decided to make a little bit of a drop to the downside. And then, of course, it's now managed to recover back up. I traded this range today, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll show you right here. So you can see that S&P and NASDAQ were taking the slump to the downside, which could be consistent with what was going on with this Berkshire Hathaway story, okay? Now, going back into it, I was trading on the logic of price going back into the vector candle recovery point, which is this red vector zone right here. Now, we managed to have a decent day today. We cleared the day for $5,482 on our funded accounts. So PA is performance account with Apex, so if you can see it clearer. So there we go. So we took 21 trades overall. We were right on all of them, 4 trades on each of the accounts. And I'm having to manually place these trades, which is a bit of a pain in the back. But nonetheless, we managed to clear out a 5.5K day. And on top of that, I'm using Top Step Trader as well to build my portfolio of funded capital. Okay, so with Top Step Trader, you can take advantage of up to 5 Express accounts. Now, as you can see here, I don't even know if you can see it. Let me just switch it over. Here we go. Here, I've got an Express account, one right there, where the criteria says that you need to hit 5 days of $200 gains for the consistency rule when you get a funded account. Now, I've got these 2 other accounts right here, where one of them I got a $6,135 profit, but I took nearly a 3K loss, which is the day's maximum loss on the account. I got caught out on the S&P, but on this one right here, on this account, I managed to exploit the longs that I took on my Apex accounts. And as you can see right here, this is where the long was taken. So I took the long at this point right here, and we rode the move to the upside, and it was around the 5,269 zone where I closed it off to effectively give myself a $4,159 gain. Now, what you got to remember is on Top Step Trader, you can't make more than 50% of the profit target. So I've just managed to recover, just keep it below that 4,500 zone so that tomorrow I can then make another 4,300, 400, and then I would have passed the account. And then that one also goes as an Express account. So that's what I'm doing right now. And for those of you that are using funded accounts, it pays for you to have more than one funded account with various companies. Now, there's all sorts of talk about these companies. You just got to make sure that you're sticking to the ones that have been around for long periods of time. Now, I know Top Step has been around for long, FTMO have been around for long, but this is the risk you take, which is why when you make any money with funded accounts, try and withdraw it as soon as you can and start the whole process again and again and again. Now, quickly looking at Bitcoin on the daily time frame for my holders. The news announcements that's coming out this week could have an impact on Bitcoin's price, and that means that this imbalance down below could be a bit of a problem for Bitcoin, but it doesn't invalidate the idea of a bull run. Remember that. Going into Bitcoin's dominance, you can see it's done very well today with it potentially getting ready to mark up towards these red vector candles, which could suggest Bitcoin's move to the upside. But one thing that I've got to take into consideration is the miners keep on stepping in and selling at these peaks. And as long as they keep on selling, that's going to be putting pressure on Bitcoin to effectively come back down again. Now, what we're looking for, quite frankly, is the 5 and 13 EMA. As you can see, this yellow line right here and the red line. What we're looking for Bitcoin to do is to open up a new daily candle going into this evening, and we want to make sure that that candlestick is trading above the 5 and 13 EMA. What we're looking for is this. You see these two moving averages? Well, if you had taken longs just on the close of this candlestick here, you would have been able to benefit on a move to the upside. Of course, it's hindsight, but go back in the chart and apply that logic. Even if price is closing above the 5 and 13 EMA, you're waiting for the next daily candle as confirmation. So that means if we go over to the current daily candle, we're waiting to see if this candlestick is going to show the worth of Bitcoin continuing higher. Marry that up to the idea of the Bitcoin dominance. As long as this keeps on coming up, and we assume that the dominance is going to come back up into this area here, which will naturally trigger investors who have been buying the Bitcoin as it's been dropping, thus the dominance going down. They're not. Do you see why it's the reverse? If Bitcoin dominance is going down, the suggestion is that the altcoin market is showing its worth. But when you see prices going down, they are buying the Bitcoin. Look at that. Lots of buying here. And what we need to be mindful of is the concentration of selling that has been happening on Bitcoin to the upside. It needs to surpass this whole area here, which is the top side of it would be around the 69,850 zone. If they can surpass this area at 69,840, then the 70,000 zone won't be a problem anymore. And then hopefully the miners will want to start selling Bitcoin as it goes to another level, which means selling at the 72,000 or selling at the 74,000, even the all-time high. Well, if you've made it this far, mad love and respect, make sure you're hitting the like button and the subscribe and the bell. Ding-a-ling, so you get notified about the New York live streams in the morning. We're going to be doing this live and then a video in the evening so that you guys can get information all compressed in a short amount of time. Now, with that being said, if you are wanting to take part in the Platinum membership, where you get trade setups every single day, you get to take advantage of 20% off your first month. So everything you need is in the description of this video. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, mad love and respect. Peace.